Obviously, it's a racial thing. It's a sexual thing. Tony Hawk, as you pointed out, is old and I guess a little bit boring. I don't know. His commentary during the Olympics I thought was fine. So that is not going to get their base all worked up. But the dichotomy of the responses was noticed by one individual named Lil Nas X, who tweeted, now that Tony Hawk has released skateboards with his blood painted on them, and there's no public outrage, are y'all ready to admit y'all were never actually upset over the blood in the shoes, and maybe you were mad for some other reason? I will answer for them, no. No one will admit that they have learned anything. In their defense, though, they probably haven't. But anyway, a statement was put out by Liquid Death about the similarity between these two things. They said, we fully support Lil Nas X and thought his fictional Montero music video and limited shoe release was a brilliant and hilarious counterpunch to the homophobic hatred damning him to hell that he and so many others in the LGBTQ plus community have to deal with. They say
and
the backlash.
That's why they stole his idea. Sorry.
Yeah, seemingly. I guess at least they seem to be on the side. I don't know. He's obviously mad about the difference in their reactions. I don't know how mad he is about just doing it. But anyway, yeah, I think this is certainly an opportunity where in the theory we could learn something as a society, but almost certainly won't.
Out of curiosity, was Tony Hawk commenting on skateboarding?
For the Olympics?
Yeah.
No, rhythmic gymnastics. Yes, skateboarding, I'm kidding. Yes.
But that's the only thing he talks like entertaining about. Like the guy is.
Why does he have to be entertaining about anything else? He's a skateboarder. He's never playing anything else.
If you're doing an interview, well, because you mentioned that he was kind of subdued, and I'm just saying that's his personality. He's just kind of a mellow guy. I just want to know what Lil Nas X thinks of this. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they should have at least given him one of the skateboards.
That's what I think for sure. Exchange the shoes, skateboard, and then Tony Hawk should wear the shoes while he's skateboarding. Makes sense.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Anyway, that is going to be all the time that we have. Viviana, as always, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much. You guys make sure to check out a segment I have coming up on Contextualize This with Professor Duncan Earl. He's talking about the indigenous people being stewards of our environment and how that sort of language and that sort of behavior has prevented forest fires in the past. Now we have these wildfires because we have put a lot of invasive species. So there's a lot of stuff to learn about how we can treat forest fires. Anyway, check it out.
No, that's great. That's awesome. Definitely everyone check that out. Have a good one. Stay safe out there, Viviana. There's a lot of go.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much, John.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Sophie, I know you're gonna try to compensate for all of your dog hate by reminding me. I was not gonna forget. So thank you everybody for being here. And Sophie, honestly, thank you for reminding me. I've got a little, no, not a surprise, but maybe a treat. Everybody, if you remember the pandemic days, this is little Abby. She's come to work with me. She hasn't been very productive so far, but she's a very cute dog. And also, this is Hilo. Hilo's my dog. We don't have Sprocket, but Hilo's very happy to be at work. He likes going on car rides, and he expects to be paid for his services. Okay, well, look, I hope you appreciate the dogs. I appreciate them being here. We do have a lot that's gonna be coming up today, not only Indisputable, where I'll be joining Dr. Rashad Ritchie, reactions as well, the conversation with David Schuster. There's so much going on, so everybody buckle up. But until then, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. Oh, wait, no. Hold up. You gotta go vote for the garbage person of the week. Go to the community tab over on the Damn Report YouTube channel. And I'll see you soon.
Yeah, you know what time it is. It is indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richey. Good to be with you. We got a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day with me, none other than my big homie, John Iadarola, host of The Damage Report and The Young Turks and docuseries True North. He's the guy behind that too. My big homie will come up in just a moment. And in the bullpen segment, that's my debate segment. You stick and stay for that. We have Kenny Zhu, who is the author of Inconvenient Minority and president of Color Us United. Going to be interesting. This guy wants to debate with me about critical race theory, affirmative action, and the Stop Asian Hate movement, okay? All right, top news story. A 50-year-old dad attacks a child at a school because he's an anti-masker. The dad is an anti-mask guy and attacks another kid, a young girl. Let's just go to the video.
I've been doing this for 4 days. No,
that's grits.
He had been at this school for days protesting the mask mandate, got his daughter, 15-year-old Isabel, involved in his ridiculous protest. So let me get this right. This guy decides to take his child out of school because he doesn't want her to follow the rules of everyone else, saying that somehow these mask mandates, that it creates a barrier to her education. No, sir, you, Dan Bowman, you're creating the barrier to your daughter's education. Let's put up a picture of this clown. Okay, we'll have a picture later of him. All right, Dan Bowman, who's the father that you saw fighting a girl, a student inside of that or on that school campus. This is quite interesting. This is the 5th time since the Broward schools resumed in-person learning. Dan Bowman, 50 years of age, walked his daughter, Isabel, to school. Isabel is a 10th grader. In her first year at Fort Lauderdale High, she has refused to wear a mask. I wonder where she got that idea from. And has turned away and was turned away each day by the administration. Hey, it's a rule, all right? School boards, school systems, principals, they enforce rules. They enforce dressing codes, they enforce language, behavior, they enforce rules. Every single one of us had to go through that, all right? Dan Bowman, the dad said, and I quote, you gotta get this, first of all, it's illegal for them to mandate it. It's against the law. It's against the Parents' Bill of Rights. Our belief is it doesn't stop the spread of the virus. It doesn't control it. It does more harm than good. Okay, so this is all based on this personal belief, right? The science is clear. COVID-19 is decreased by 40 to 60% and up to 90% if worn properly. The science is settled on that matter. Let's go to what the students were saying about this.
Right there. Right there.
Yeah, the students were screaming, wear a mask. That's what you heard, the students yelling and chanting to all of these anti-mask parents who were there. You saw in the video, Bowman pushed the student in the shoulder and then grabbed her hand and twisted her arm in an aggressive manner. That's according to witness reports. He was immediately taken into custody. This guy has now been charged with aggravated child abuse. 4 supporters of Isabel, that's his daughter, showed up carrying signs in front of the school to protest the district's mask mandate. So I count 6 people total now. All right. A group of students on the school's campus chanted, wear a mask, directed toward the group as well as Isabel. John, I see you shaking your head, brother. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, obviously over the last year, we've seen a lot of these anti-mask, anti-vax, anti-everything parents. And so you wonder, well, how can they stand out at this point? He found a way. I mean, he may debate whether it's fair to have a rule that you have to wear a mask, but there's definitely a rule against grown men punching schoolgirls. Like, I feel like that's a pretty robust rule that's been around for a long time. He's a 50-year-old man punching a kid, and like he was restrained. So you read what he actually did, the grabbing of the arm and everything, but he would have done more. Like, if multiple people hadn't held him back, what did he want to do? Yeah. And so he's getting these. He's going to get the charge for aggravated child abuse. He got the emotional and educational abuse of his own child for free. He should have been happy with that one, and now he's got the second charge.
Here's what I wonder. You make a great point about the fact that if the action to restrain him would not have been swift, he would have actually done more physical harm to this child. But here's the thing. Why was he allowed to be on that property recording people? This was his 5th day doing it. It's not as if the school system or the administrators were unaware of what he was doing. If you want to do a protest, okay, you have a right to do a protest, but there is a restriction on where you can do protest. And I find it quite amazing that the school allowed him to do a protest on the property for days. And once again, I think this goes back to how we're dealing with these folks. We're playing with them. We are allowing them to do things that we would not allow other folks to do. I guarantee you, if this person would have been African American, black, if they would have had the last name Muhammad, if variables about who they are would have been different, they would not have allowed them to remain on school property harassing children for days.
Yeah, and let me ask you a question. So this guy who he cares so much about the dress code and how if in his view there isn't a legitimate medical reason to wear a mask, then they can't require it. Do you think that, like, if you were to look back through his past as a political activism sort of dude, he was protesting the schools that like threw girls out for wearing skirts that were an inch too short, or like threw kids out whose pants were sagging, or like fought for the rights of kids to wear jerseys in schools where they weren't allowed? Like, I have a feeling this is not an actual like outgrowth of a real political value. It's a very like temporally bound ideological thing. And that's gonna happen. There's a lot of broken people, there's a lot of broken men in America. We see them in videos like this every day. What sucks is that he's dragging his kid into it. Like, he's ensuring that this ignorance is gonna be generational.
Man, you make a remarkable point, and I'll say this to that point to add to it. I guarantee you, this is the same guy who would say kids should not wear Black Lives Matter shirts because they're political, right? He's the same guy. And keep this in mind, all of these parents, they have already said yes to mandates, right? If you're in public education, 100% of public education, you have to get vaccinations in order to remain there, right? 92% of private institutions require some level of vaccination to be at that private school. So let's do the math here. He already says yes to vaccines, mandated. He says yes to vaccine passports because you got to prove that your child got the vaccine. You bring the document from the health clinic, from the medical doctor, that's your passport, that's your vaccine passport. So you say yes to a needle and a chemical inside of your child, but you say no to a non-chemical known as a mask in order to protect your child. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. All right, we got more. A video has actually surfaced. A state trooper beat a man with his flashlight so bad, he broke the man's jaw, 3 fractured ribs, broke his wrist, gashed to the head. Let's go to the video.
Hold on, hang tight. I haven't did nothing. Give me your hand. Give me. Give me the. Give me your hand. I'm resisting. I'm not resisting. Give me your hand. Give me your I ain't messing with you. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. Okay. Hold up. Give me your back. Got it? Come on, man. I'm bleeding. and hit me in the hand with a flashlight.
Damn shame. This was a Louisiana state trooper. You saw a beating with a flashlight. The beating left the victim, Aaron Larry Bowman. It left Mr. Bowman with a broken jaw, 3 fractured ribs, a broken wrist, and a gash to his head that required 6, ladies and gentlemen, 6 damn staples to close. Said a lawyer who's representing him in a civil rights lawsuit filed last year in Louisiana against the state police. Let's put up a picture of Mr. Bowman, the victim here. That's him in the hospital, okay? He's the victim. Ron Haley, one of Bowman's attorneys, said Officer Jacob Brown beat his client with an 8-inch aluminum flashlight. Brown hit him within seconds of initial contact and hit Bowman at least 18 times in 24 seconds. Haley said. Let's show a picture of Jacob Brown from the sheriff's office. That's the cop. Brown was charged in December with aggravated second-degree battery and malfeasance in office. He has not entered a plea. State prosecutors said that case remains on hold as federal investigators are conducting their own investigation into Brown's actions. Mr. Brown, who was facing criminal charges in 2 unrelated excessive force cases, resigned 1 month earlier. Repeat offender. You understand? Repeat offender. Why? Because it's not about policy, it's about culture. It's not about policy, it is about culture. It doesn't matter what the words say. It doesn't matter what your policy is. If your culture is adversarial to the policy, that culture will eat policy alive every day. And here you have it. The division of the Louisiana State Police, where Brown worked, Troop F, is under investigation for potential abuses committed by troopers, plural, against black motorists. That investigation followed the death of Ronald Green, a black motorist who died after he was beaten and tased following a car chase that began when Green did not stop for officers. John, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, it's devastating to watch the footage. I feel like, I'm glad that you brought up Ronald Green, because I think about like that footage. I think about the footage of the cop doing the pit maneuver and flipping the SUV of the pregnant woman. Like, do you ever feel like watching this footage and seeing like undeniable evidence of how awful your fellow man can be, like take something away from you? Like, it's just devastating to actually have to see it and to get a window into who this person is, that they can arrive on the scene, run up, and within seconds think, I'm gonna hit this person as many times as I can. And that's bad about that one person, but he was surrounded by other cops. They don't care. They thought what he was doing was fine. They didn't stop him then. They didn't, he lied about it. He lied about the use of force. They pretended there wasn't body cam footage. He's bad, but the system had, how many people had to work together to shield him from justice for 2 years? Like, it is so much bigger than just that awful cop.
That's right. That's right, very well said. And the thing is, what we find time and time again, we find the protection, because if they could have protected him, they would have. The story just got too big, and it was no longer feasible to actually provide protection for this guy. But now you have jurisdictions who have created new laws, the mandate to report law, right? But if you don't enforce that law, the infraction is only as strong as the enforcement. That's it. So you have now these new laws called mandate to report, and obviously this jurisdiction is in bad need of it. But if you do not change the culture, it doesn't matter what the words say. I know we keep talking about reform, but damn, John, it's getting so bad. I think we need to start talking about replacement, because these same cops are not the cops that would get you to where you want to be in American society.
Yeah, I don't know, like whether it's, these rural areas where you have cops, it seems like the department is it's the place that the racists go to get paid while doing their horrible, violent hobby, basically. And then you have LA has like massive gangs in the police. Like, yeah, what? Well, I hope that Kamala Harris comes out in favor of some like new reforms. I'm sure that'll clean it up. Like, how is that supposed to? Like, these are some of the worst people in our country, happen to have a badge. You have to weed out, I don't know what the percentage is, a significant percentage of the most personally violent ones, a larger percentage of those that have been perfectly fine for decades to just watch it happen. Once you get done with that, were you to do it, what would you even be left with at the end of that?
Yeah. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
So a lot of progressive office holders are doing something fun. I like fun. They're doing the last 2 years in 2 minutes. Okay, we're gonna try it here. First, I wanna let you guys know about the years before that. Hey, remember we started the Just Democrats here on the Young Turks. It was officially launched on our air, basically by you guys. And then we featured AOC, we featured Cori Bush, and Ro Khanna became the first ever Just Democrat incumbent, all on the Young Turks. Now, the last 2 years have been a spectacular follow-up to that. So let's put the 2 minutes on the clock and do this. Young Turks got to start back in 2002, and I think we've been an important part of the progressive movement ever since. What we mainly do is amplify the progressive voice and candidates out there, and I think we've done a pretty good job. Right now, we're currently #1 most engaged news politics network online, beating CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, all of them. We're #1 in total minutes watched. That means not only the number of people watching, but how long they watch. We just crossed 20 million followers and 500 million monthly views. Now, why? That's because actually the country's progressive. It's 2/3 progressive. And you guys have allowed us to be your voice, and we're incredibly thankful for that. So what did we do with that voice? Well, let's look at 2019. We went all over the country talking to you guys and the candidates. So we were in Miami, we were in Detroit, we were in Houston, and we were in Iowa. In fact, we were all over Iowa. You guys were all over Iowa, and all of the candidates saw you guys. We had wonderful people speaking, like the one and only Nina Turner at our rallies. Bernie Sanders stopped by, Andrew Yang, Elizabeth Warren. We interviewed almost everyone on the campaign trail, with the exception of Biden and Buttigieg. And we held them accountable. We even did a progressive economic pledge, and so many wonderful people signed on to that. Bernie Sanders, Warren, Marianne Williamson, AOC, the entire squad, Justice Democrats, and so many others. Now, on top of all that, we started a show called The Conversation, where we featured so many progressive thinkers, writers, and candidates. And one of the candidates we featured in 2019 was Jamal Bowman. Here comes Jamal Bowman. Then we had an amazing 2020. We hired a climate reporter. Damage Report passed 500,000 subscribers. Young Turks passed 5 million subscribers. We're getting the message out to more and more people. Bernie Sanders comes on in the heat of the primary. He comes on after the election to say what we're gonna do for the future. And then Marie Newman wins. Jamal Bowman wins. Cori Bush wins. And then just when you thought it couldn't get any better, here comes Nina Turner. Hello, somebody. And she's running for Congress, and she comes on the Young Turks first. On election week, we had nearly 2 million hours of viewing. We're #1 destination for progressives. You made all that happen. This is amazing, and thank you for those 2 years. What, I went past 2 minutes? Of course!
Viewers had asked for an interview with the TYT Lizard. Mr. Lizard. Oh, you changed colors today. Nice. I don't even know how you feel about us. Do you even like us?
Well, you guys made me this awesome house, so I'm kind of in your debt. I was found outside on the street, and you gave me a home. Granted, it was a really crappy home for a while, but then through the power of fundraising, I became a person who has a multi-level Trump-style mansion.
You do. By the way, you never looked better, man. Normally, you're just green or just brown, but today you're in mid-lizard, right?
I'm not very smart. I'm a lizard, so I don't know how the science works. I guess this is just my mood. It's not every day that thresholds like this are broken. I'm just so excited. I can't contain my pigmentation.
And now you're showing it off.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never seen the lizard like this before.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot of viewer comments. Let's get to it. Okay, don't forget reactions today after Indisputable. Catch reactions with Rayvana, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Tune in on twitch.tv/TYT. All right. And then later in the day, we got a special. All right, the conversation today live at 5:30 Eastern time, 2:30 Pacific time, tyt.com/live. Before the Young Turks, there's a very special episode hosted by David Schuster, investigates why the Taliban, why are they still on Twitter? Okay, why are they still on Twitter? Also, make sure you subscribe and watch all interviews at youtube.com/TYT conversation. All right, okay, TYT member, I'm a damn lib says, once again, your private beliefs do not make public policy. Get over it and put on the mask, or better yet, get the vaccine. Right. Cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug says, it's almost like the definition of not resisting is allowing someone to hit or manhandle you without flinching. Yeah. I mean, and the audacity to go and mess with other people's children. Now, I would have been at the school the first day I heard he was doing something like that, okay? YouTube super chat, this is my poet, Kelly O'Hara. Well, what do you know? Dragon Daddy and Truth Daddy on the same show. Won't tell no lies, don't have no facade. Can't get better than John and Rashad. Bars. You need to be like, you need to be a writer. Listen, if those like old 70 movies come back, where when you're acting, everybody's rhyming, you will be the perfect person. Okay, May money in the building. Two of my favorite people to walk this very strange earth. It's a good day. Hi, John. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
How's it going?
Zane the Magic Puffer Dragon. Woohoo, Dragon Daddy Yo. Hashtag spank me Dragon Daddy Yo. That's not for me, y'all. That's for him.
I think it's for both of us.
It's for you.
We'll see.
All right, Chill Will, thank you for that. Peter Hamby, thank you for that. Peter says, cowards attack kids, anti-mask entitlement, or rule against his from the Haiku Dragon. Okay, got it. Law school stud. I love the anti-maskers cry. Wearing a mask would traumatize the kids. You know what else would traumatize the kids? Attacking kids. Disgusting. Moon Dragon. We need to stop calling cops bad apples and talk about police departments being vinegar. Tiger Katsuni. How am I supposed to feel safe as a black man when I leave my front door? What about my son? Preparation, man. And listen, there's no magic bullet to it, no pun intended. Jonathan Ondrasic. I am not hitting you, I am protecting you. All right, Twitch, Yeetwood Mac. Y'all would need to bail me out if someone put hands on Mini Yeet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's an officer so damn corrupt that another officer arrested him and then cut his shirt off of his body. Here's the video.
Now turn around here. Turn around and face me. You come to our jail and do this, this is what it's gonna get you. You're a disgrace to this uniform, and you need to go to jail for good. Anybody else, this is a warning. Come to our jail and bring this with you, and you will go to jail. We will prosecute you. Get out of here.
That should be standard operating protocol. okay? So the sheriff, this is in Wayne County, Georgia. A Facebook video posted by the Wayne County Sheriff's Office showed the uniform shirt of Dayton Beasley being snipped off with a pair of scissors while he stood handcuffed. This has not made national news yet. So most of you are hearing about this for the first time. The video posted on the official website of the sheriff's office. That video was taken down, okay? And here's what the sheriff's office put up. I'm gonna read this. To all that has seen the video that we have removed, I wanna say that the post was up as a show of transparency. When Sheriff Mosley ran, his platform included numerous pledges. One, which was transparency. We felt that everyone wanted to know what was going on and feels this video did just that. There was no property damaged that belonged to the young man shown. As far as embarrassment, I am sure he was embarrassed from the get-go. I have read where people said what was there, and even a picture showed up of a drug-related items. All I can say is the truth will come out as to what all was involved in the charges. Sheriff Mosley in no way knew that the video was being posted. It was a decision made on other levels. For the ones that supported the post, thank you for your support. And for the ones that opposed the post, I apologize. Damn those apologies. Why are we apologizing? You all do that routinely to individuals who are not officers. I mean, making sure that video was posted. I've seen it on Facebook and Twitter accounts of police departments for years. Why does he get any special treatment because he's an officer? I think it was the right move. You want the guy going to your jail with your damn uniform on? That's what you want him to do? Cut it off. Sounds like protocol to me. Sounds like it should be a written procedure somewhere that if one of our cops gets arrested, we have to go ahead and cut his shirt off before we put him in the same jail that he works at, okay? Here's the details of the arrest. Beasley's arrest was the result of a 2-week investigation into contraband items at the Wayne County Jail, conducted by the Sheriff's Office and the Jessup Police Department. WSAV reported, according to a news release, Beasley was charged with violation of oath of office, trading with inmates without consent of the warden or superintendent, and crossing the guard line with a controlled substance. We're talking about drugs, ladies and gentlemen, with a controlled substance. Corrupt individual. If the allegations are true, extremely corrupt. No telling what else he was doing or favors or how he was mistreating particular inmates in order to favor other inmates. This is gang activity, ladies and gentlemen. That's what he became, or at least that's what he was. John, what are your thoughts?
The entire thing is just amazing. Like I'm not used to seeing anything like that. Yeah, I agree with you about the special treatment and the message and stuff like that. It sort of undercuts what could have been just a moment of, it's not even a good moment. It's a bare minimum moment that we don't see often enough with law enforcement, where they actually take their obligations and their responsibilities really seriously. Like they should love doing this sort of thing, showing how obviously they're accorded a great deal of, like, that they can use lethal force if they want. They have that, but a lot of responsibility is supposed to come with that. It almost never does. They're actually acting on that. It's a strong image. Obviously, like it was done sort of theatrically. It actually reminds me of, I'm gonna make a reference nobody's gonna know. It's a classic episode of Married with Children where Al Bundy becomes a security guard at a high school, and when he accidentally lets he goes in the bathroom for too long, so somebody sneaks in and steals stuff. They come up and they like rip his lapels off, they rip his sleeves off, and he has to walk away in shame. Like imagine if you were seeing stuff like this happen. Like not just because of the controlled substances, but like there's a cop who's like beating someone and the other cops take him and they're like, no, we're doing our cops version of citizen's arrest. We're gonna tear your tie off and all that. Like show you don't get to wear the uniform that we do. That would be strong. I would love to get used to that.
And here's a great irony in the context of how we look at police misconduct. He got stripped of his literal uniform. He has been arrested. I think the sheriff's department is serious about prosecuting him. But let's be very clear. We have never seen anything like this happen to an officer or a member of law enforcement as it relates to a civilian who has been brutally injured or even killed on video, murdered by a member of law enforcement. This happened in the context of a sheriff's office and a jail, okay? Yep. So it's a little bit different here, but maybe it creates a trend, because you're right. They kind of missed an opportunity here, John. They could have created clarity and great articulation as to who they are and who they are not. But instead, they still showed you in the midst of the prosecution of a bad guy that we're willing to treat him differently than other bad guys. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're totally right. And the fact that they seem to take drugs more seriously than violence, that's right. A disturbing little angle on it, totally.
Yep, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Hey, listen to me. We don't play games here anymore, okay? Next time you ever talk to me like that, you're going to get your ass kicked by my family. They're going to f*** you up.
What did I do?
Right. They're going to f*** you
Why?
up.
What did I do?
Because you are... Look at the whole stairs to yourself.
You had these stairs and
Why don't you go somewhere else where you can go to a gym? This is not just for you.
Oh, you
Get the f*** out of this world. Get the f*** out of this state. Go back to whatever f***ing Asian country you belong in.
Okay, race.
Bitch, this is not your place. This is not your home. We do not want you here. You put that on Facebook. I hope you do, because every f***ing person will beat the crap out of you from here on out. Don't you ever say, oh, Jesus, to me when I want to use the stairs, you little bitch.
There's other stairs.
You are a sick, ignorant teenager.
So extreme. Anti-Asian hate, ladies and gentlemen. This Karen is a throwback Karen, but also a serial Karen. My amazing production team was able to find the name of this 56-year-old Karen. Her name is Lena Hernandez of Long Beach. Quite interesting what happened here. You saw it unfold. The incident started because the young lady who was stretching said, oh, Jesus. And it caused all of this. Now remember, this Karen is saying all of this, oh, it's because I need to use the steps and you don't own the place. And that's just the pretext. Remember, the commonality is they want to put folks in their place, so to speak. The true motive started to come out. Go back to whatever Asian country you came from. See, that's the actual motivation. Had nothing to do with stretching, had nothing to do with the steps, had everything to do with racism and ethnicity. That's what this comes down to. The incident took place on the morning of June 10th, 2020 in Wilson Park in Torrance, California. Sweet Tea explained on Twitter, there is no backstory. My friend records her workouts often and she said she jumped on the stairs. The text exchange shows the woman who was the victim of the racist tirade said, she was so mad at the world, I don't get it. She walked into me, I said, Jesus, and there she went. So literally the Karen walked into this victim, all right? It gets deeper. Remember the comments, okay? This is important. You get the whole stairs for yourself? Why don't you go somewhere else when you can go to a gym? Why don't you go somewhere else when you can go to a gym? This is not just for you. Torrance Karen continues, get the F out of this world. What? Out of this world? You own the world, Karen? Not the whole damn world, Karen. Get the F out of this state. Go back to whatever effing Asian country you belong in. So here's your update. The Torrance mayor, Patrick Fury, said the Torrance Police Department is in fact investigating the situation. Public safety is a high priority in the city of Torrance, Fury told KABC. And all visitors to our open spaces should always feel safe and free to exercise while practicing social distancing without conflict. Conduct like that displayed on the video cannot be tolerated. We strive to deliver essential services to our community with integrity, honesty, and respect for all users. Well, this Karen does not agree with you, and we were able to find more video of this particular Karen. Let's play it.
Great. Did you just make a racist comment?
You know what? I am not a racist person.
You just made a
But you know
racist
what?
comment.
You need to go home.
I am from here.
Look at, go home.
I am here from here.
Go home. I don't care about.
Do we have a picture of her? Just a still shot? Okay, all right, we'll put it up in post. I just want to make sure you know who to avoid if you see her in these streets, okay? That's a dangerous person. All right, John, your thoughts here?
Yeah, well, we might not know exactly what her face looks like, but we know the uniform of the Karen. She got the whole package there. I'm sure that these people, when they see her walking towards them, know at least some of what's gonna come. The serial Karen, it's been sad to see the rise of that. I know New York City has one. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
Yes.
People whose whole, like some people during the pandemic got into like sourdough starters. Other people got into serial Karening. It's a weird hobby. I guess it's cheap. I know people look for cheap hobbies, but no, in particular, there was this like string of things in California specifically of you could not be an Asian person exercising outdoors seemingly without somebody harassing you during the pandemic. And obviously a lot of those incidents went beyond just horrific racial verbal abuse into actual violence. And I don't know if there's any sort of easy solution, anything politicians can do other than to take seriously the incidents when they happen individually. But clearly we have a problem that we're producing so many people that are so messed up in a variety of ways that they have to just go out to a park looking for someone to inflict it on. Like if that woman stretching hadn't been there, some incident would have happened. She would have had some problem with someone. And the woman in New York City, she does not miss. When she goes out, she finds someone to get into it with. And I don't know what the solution to that is, and I don't know to what extent it's a government thing. But socially, we got to figure something out. We can't go on like this.
Well, that's what we're doing right here, John. You see, some things can only be handled in a limited way with the court of law. And then the court of public opinion has a way of shaping social narratives and correcting social behavior as well. So you're part of that solution here. All right, we got more on the other side. Stick and stay is indisputable.
You're about to watch some behind the scenes footage of the Young Turks. Ooh. Now these are partial videos. If you want to get all of them, you become a member, go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind the scenes of me, Anna, John, JR, a little bit reality show like. tyt.com/join and enjoy this.
You know what you're seeing behind me? Jersey, hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm bitsing right now.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. Members? I don't have my face on.
She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's JR's ass right there.
You can't take 5 minutes off, can you?
No, I can't, Johnny Pie. I said it was live stream, but I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members. Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat.
Animals are innocent.
Control room and the insanity is obviously there.
Right now, as you can see, I'm directing or tech directing. I'm so happy to be here.
This is what like a Labor Day beard looks like for Jank. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this.
Such a big fan. Oh, thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet.
What's going on, guys? This is a Bitsy or a BTS or behind the scenes with Hassan Piker, AKA Woke Bay.
Oh, hi, I didn't see you there.
I have finished my show, The Damage Report, and now I get into a really awkward time of the day.
When I'm sitting, the control room is right there. So I can see Bart.
And this is the Pittsburgh office, by the way. Referred to often as the boiler room.
You see how it's ripped? Is it super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT?
Not a whole lot.
If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you, because I'm fixing it.
And thank you for being a TYT member.
Super last thing, because there's always got to be a super last thing. Oh, that was disastrous. This has been behind the scenes, behind the scenes.
Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richey. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was the white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.
Climate is changing fundamentally, extremely, and non-linearly. It's becoming worse now. It's not when the levees burst that is the problem. It's in the anticipation of that.
So I hope every human being is safe. And by human beings, I do not include multinational corporations, especially the ones that started climate change in the first place.
What we're currently doing right now in cutting emissions is clearly not enough. There will be ramifications to what Trump is doing. I don't want people to suffer, but I feel like there's gonna be a lot of suffering because we have an imbecile as our leader.
Yep, welcome back. Good to be with you. We got a lot of comments. Thank you for engaging with the show. Don't forget today after Indisputable, make sure you catch Ray Actions with Ray Vonda. That's 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific time, twitch.tv/TYT. All right, make that happen. Also later today, I need you to watch the conversation. Special conversation today. The conversation live today, 5:30 p.m. 2:30 Eastern time, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, tyt.com/live. This is before the Young Turks, okay? David Schuster investigates why the Taliban is still on Twitter, all right? Make sure you subscribe and watch all interviews at youtube.com/TYT conversation, all right? Okay, TYT member, I'm a damn lib says, I like that the warden specified. This is just so true though. I like that the warden specified without consent. Was this kid undercutting the powers that be? LOL. But it did say that. It said he did all of this without permission. That's basically what the docket said. Okay. I caught that too. YouTube super chat. Thank you for that kind super chat. Musketeer K9 PTS dogs for vets. Happy Dog Day. Please talk about Pause Act being signed. I'm a veteran with PTS and a service dog trainer providing dogs for PTSD. Any veteran watching this channel and suffering should know that starting next year, they can get $25,000 for a service dog. Boom, you just talked about it. Thank you for that insight and thank you for what you do. Forbeszilla says, it's fairly standard for COs to bring in contraband because they don't make ish at the job. My bestie and I have both been on the inside, seen it. Chill Will, thank you for making us Glenwoodians look good, Dr. Richey, from East Lake Meadows to the 285 flea market. Glenwood certified here, Glenwood's finest. And I appreciate the hood watching the show. Thank you. All right, Jason, pronounced Jason. Dr. Richey, you are gonna have to keep your eye on John. He is strong arming elderly women on a fixed income into giving him money. Oh my God. JK, love the show. He has that charm about him. He can't help it. It's just natural. All right, he's not doing it intentionally. All right, Vanessa Maldonado, imagine if this was done to every police officer who commits brutality out there. Make examples out of them and the rest will fall in line. Yep, Dwayne Perry, Dr. Rashad is the uncle I wish I had. Well, Dwayne, just call me uncle and make believe. All right, that's what you can do. Thank you for that. Twitch, Fascist Killer says, the serial killers are the worst. They are. Trey Fields too. Wow, she is not a racist person, but you are doing racist things and say racist words. So, all right. This is just such a weird story. A Florida doctor is selling anti-mask opt-out letters for $50 a pop. Okay, I kid you not. An emergency room physician is charging $50 for mask opt-out letters to Leon County parents for their children who have been removed from the school system because they don't have a mask. So he's saying, hey, give me $50, I will give you this excuse. It's a scheme, a scam, it's corruption is what it is. All right, Dr. Brian Warden. Listen, before I get into all of this, y'all, this man went to damn medical school, okay? Understand, he got a whole lot of years of education behind him. But as my grandmama would say, he don't have walking around sense. This man literally broadcasted the illegal activity. Let me show you what he did here. Dr. Brian Warden posted a notice on a statewide anti-mask site inviting Leon County parents to contact him if they need a medical exemption letter. In another post, Warden said he would provide a medical opt-out letter on signed stationery for $50 damn. Here's a screenshot of one of the posts advertising this illegal service. This guy's public offer was in response to a new local mask mandate. The Leon School's superintendent, Rocky Hanna, announced Sunday that students in grades K-8 must wear a mask. That's your mandate to school unless they had a medical excuse amid a surge in cases, hospitalizations, and death. And the death over the weekend of a Canopy Oaks elementary school student. Okay, that's the right call. That's the right call for the school system, right? So what does this medical doctor do? This is a money-making opportunity for him, okay? And so he decides, hey, let me post that I will give anyone a medical exemption letter, $50, just $50. John?
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Horrible facts.
He has been removed from the medical center that he works for. They learned of the actions and said, we begin the process of removing the guy already.
Yeah, that's good. Well, you've taken that one source for these off the market. So I guess the other doctors can charge a little bit more who are gonna step into this. It's Florida, they're terrible, they're gonna be there. There's training for a lot of jobs, but not every job has like rules that are so clear that like maybe I can test this, maybe I can start it and you tell me. So if you're a doctor, first blank, what is it? It's do no harm. They have like one rule, do no harm.
Do no harm.
But they never said you couldn't do harm for like $50. So this doctor made the decision. Yeah, and like he's doing this in Florida, which is like the worst spot for it. They're doing worse now than they've ever done in the pandemic. And he's made the decision that, like, yeah, sure, some of these kids might die, or maybe they get COVID and they give it to their grandma or something. So that sucks. I guess I should at least get $50. Like, you can't charge more to potentially allow for the death of a person. Doctors should value life a bit more than $50 a pop.
Let me tell you, man, this is akin to like a dope dealer advertising his cocaine prices.
Yeah.
I don't get it. You know this is a violation of law. You know it's a violation of your ethical code of conduct. You know that it's a violation of policy at the medical center you work for. It's a violation of public trust. And you post it publicly and advertise your price publicly, you gotta go. You gotta go.
100%. You know, I just saw recently what some of the cruise lines that they say if you're coming from Florida, you have to give proof of vaccination. Some of them are saying. Yeah. Okay, well, so what's that gonna be? Is that gonna be $100? Like if the mask exemption is 50, we can't have any standards for our fellow
where does
Americans.
It stop? Where does it stop? If you let this guy get away with it, where does it stop? Okay, an anti-masker parent arrested during a Palm Beach school board meeting. This was in Palm Beach County. A man was arrested for disturbing the peace, resisting an officer, and trespassing at a school board meeting. Let's go to the video. So he was sitting in the no mask section. Yep, there's a no mask section now at school boards, okay? That's what's happening. He was standing, let me correct it. He would not sit down, he would not follow the instructions of that meeting. WPBF 25 news crew at the scene witnessed Mr. Everett William Cooper, let's put up a picture of this guy, being escorted out of the area where the public was able to sit for the meeting. Okay, he was seen being forced out of the room by officers and then escorted from the premises in handcuffs while saying he was arrested for not sitting down. Well, he was arrested for disorderly conduct. And here's the thing, this is what happens. This is really the way it should be enforced, okay? This is getting out of control. They are not respecting the rules of any public gathering whatsoever. And they're getting away with it routinely in the United States of America. They're getting away with it so much that it seems normative. And when somebody gets arrested for a disorderly conduct charge, it seems abnormal. No, this is what happens when you do things like that in a space that has rules. John?
You're 100% right. Like, wait, he got arrested? One of the people who disrupted this stuff got arrested? And he got arrested for not sitting down. We've seen footage of people like surrounding cars outside of the building and shouting, "We're gonna get you," and they're seemingly fine. We can't have any standards. And normally some of this antisocial behavior might have been mitigated by people being horrified at the prospect that others would find out that they went and tried to punch a kid at a school, or went to a school board meeting and shouted about the Nuremberg laws and about the soul of the wind going through your bones and all the nonsense they say. But every one of those people is like dead sure that the people that agree with them are gonna love that stuff. No matter how barbaric they look, no matter how ignorant they look, they get the cheers. They potentially get crowdfunding for their legal bills and everything. Like, none of the shame stuff seems to work anymore. So I'm not sure, other than hopefully the cops getting involved potentially, I don't know what we're supposed to do about it, Dr. Rashad.
You know, all of these people are connected to families. They have families, they have friends, and I guarantee you all of their family members do not agree with them. All of their friends or their associates they don't completely agree with them, right? You're correct, John. The video, the camera being there, it does not have the impact it used to have. There was a time that there would be a level of social shame connected to this kind of behavior. You have a 50-year-old dad putting his hands physically violent against a girl, a child at a school. That is, settled as hell to the gnaw, right? Mm-hmm. He knew he was being recorded. As a matter of fact, when he did it, he himself was recording the incident as well, all right? And still committed to that activity. So here's what I see may happen. Yes, law enforcement, they have to step it up. They have to treat it seriously, but also the family members who are embarrassed by these people, the friends or associates who are embarrassed by these people, they have to also get involved, and they have to say, and listen, I don't like being preachy, but shame on you. right? There has to be a penalty in society. John, I'll let you get the last word, brother.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I hope that that's one of the few things on a personal level you can do is try to incentivize good behavior and disincentivize bad behavior in your social circles. But we also know that some of these movements, like the QAnon people, one of the things they become really savvy at is turning people against their families and making them question the sanity of everyone around them. So it's a big task, obviously, but potentially the future of some of the people you love might be at stake.
You're the man, John. Thank you, brother, for doing a double header today. I appreciate it.
Thank you always. It's the fastest 60 hours in news. That raced by, but thank you for inviting me on.
There you go. Thank you, my friend. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken when I had first got my license, like 17 years old or 17, 18, whatever it was. And I'm driving, I think my dad's Oldsmobile, and I parked it in a place where there was 2 cars next to me, really tight spot, and a car behind me. I don't even know how I got in there because I'm a terrible driver. Back then I was an even worse driver. And on the roads I'm okay, but in parking spots I have terrible spatial reasoning and I'm a mess. And on my way out, I hit all 3 cars at once. I broke all records, okay? So I went, as I'm backing out, I went boom, oh and this side hit that car, this side hit this car, and the back hit the 3rd car, okay? And I got stuck. I didn't know how to get out. Like, I went, okay, for this, and then I'm like, no, and then, right? And then finally I had to stop, go inside the KFC and go, I'm sorry, I hit a bunch of your cars. They're like, what do you mean a bunch of your cars? I'm like, I don't know.
Wow, there's a B?
Yeah, I'm like this, I hit 3 cars. I don't know, so you guys gotta come help me, okay? Okay, so 1, my bad, really sorry about that. Okay, number 2, can someone take my car out? Because I don't wanna keep hitting your cars and I'm incapable of taking it out of this spot.
Now baby, move that fat, baby, move that fat.
Hi, I'm Brett Ehrlich with Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. This is Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. Hi, Brett Ehrlich here. According to EPA head Scott Pruitt, climate change is not happening. He cited a meme on Facebook he saw. When pressed to back up this source, he said it must be accurate because the watermark said it was made by a scientist. So, your move, Truth.
Do all of you know the Young Turks?
An outlet like yourself that are willing to cover this story from the very beginning and that weren't afraid to say, hey, this is something that is legitimate.
And this is why what Cenk and the Young Turks are doing is so important.
Brent Welder is very progressive Democrat. He's a just Democrat. In fact, uncorrupted, not going to take big corporate PAC money. When did you start watching this show and when did you become a member?
So I've been watching for 10 years, an active viewer, but also more importantly, getting out there with causes like Wolfpack.
By the end of our campaign, we had organized about 22,000 individual contributions with an average about $27 a piece. And those initial people were a lot of TYT supporters as well.
In looking at the world in a very different way than corporate media does.
It takes those early people who believe that can really be the seeds of this movement, and that has been the Young Turks.
Thank you, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks.
Thank you to TYT and all the progressives around the country that have our backs.
You know, the first and only interviews that we had tonight to do with the Young Turks as well, because you guys have been here from the very beginning, and that's what this night is all about.
And I thank Cenk very much for the very good work that he does.
Thank you so much. We're all in this together, and the people are so powerful, and we're gonna get it done.
Thank you for your constant support.
It's a pleasure to be with rebels. I like that.
For all of the help that you've given to the Just Democrats, to Wolfpack, to help fellow progressives, thank you guys, to all the Young Turks members that make it possible.
Hey, this is Edwin. Most of you might recognize me, well, not me, mostly my laugh from the main show.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to get the Uygur maneuver on him.
And today, my talent is Rubik's Cubes. You gotta forgive me, it's been at least 5 years since I've competed. So that's why I'm actually going pretty slow. Watch this.
Hold up, welcome back. All right, we got a lot of comments. Let's get to what you all are saying, okay? TYT member, funk in for fun. Karens don't step to me. I wonder why. You might have that look, you know what I mean? Okay. YouTube super chat. Not that Karen Dragon says, Unc Rashad, there you go. Nana Nikki S says, Texas father strips to his underwear during school board meeting to argue for mask. Is that a real thing? I haven't seen that yet. Is that real? Somebody tell me, is that real? Okay, we got to find that video. Teresa Lopez, schools should totally be closed. My great niece gave COVID to her grandfather. He is in the hospital, but thank God he is stable. Thank God he's stable. All right, I'm glad your niece is okay too. Reese Eaton says, is it any wonder that we have school shootings and guns in schools when we can't even trust the parents to have a debate without police needing to stop violence? Yep. Okay. BLWS, another Palm Beach County school in 2 days. Yesterday, it was St. Paul Academy II in Boca Raton. Welcome to our world. Twitch, Mapwa. It is sad that school board meetings need security and police now. It's real. Donkey Teeth Beatles. People thought I was being mean when I said I hope this state I live in sinks into the ocean. It's still mean though, all right? It's still kind of mean. But I understand what you're saying. We got more on the other side, stick and stay. It's indisputable. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the bullpen. In the bullpen today, we have Mr. Kenny Xu, author of Inconvenient Minority and president of Color Us United. Kenny, good day. Welcome to Indisputable.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're going to chop it up about critical race theory, affirmative action, and maybe also get into the movement to stop Asian hate. I don't want to presume what you know or believe about these topics. So if you would, give us some background to your perspective as it relates to critical race theory.
Well, I care about race. I care about racism. I care about efforts to fight racism. But now we have a new racism, an elite racism against Asian Americans that is being done in the name of diversity and inclusion. I know you care about and your listeners care a lot about racism, but I want to take it a step further and I want to challenge your listeners a little bit. Because what happens when a program designed to address racism, which is Harvard's and Ivy League colleges' affirmative action programs, which give racial preferences to Black and Latino Americans, unfairly impinge upon the rights of other Americans, including other minorities. In this case, these are Asian Americans, in which Asian Americans have to score 440 points higher on the SAT to have the same chance of admission as a Black person at Harvard. So at this point, you're getting one person's rights to diversity and inclusion trampling upon another person's rights, and I don't think that that's fair.
You know, that's interesting, and I've read some of your work about the Harvard University discrimination practices or the element that connects Harvard University to even more extreme discrimination when it was trying to do the opposite, or at least that was the intent. And I studied some of this a couple of years ago in my doctoral classes, so I'm familiar with it. But how does that relate to critical race theory, or does it not relate at all?
Well, it suggests that Asian Americans are an inconvenient minority to critical race theory, right? Because critical race theory, it asserts, and there are varying definitions of critical race theory, but in large part, it is a challenge to the Western liberal idea of equal rights, individual rights. Critical race theory prefers to look at people in terms of racial groups in that sense. But the issue of looking and then granting certain preferences to people of racial groups is that, especially in the case of Harvard, but also in the case of other Ivy League colleges, elite public schools like Thomas Jefferson High School, when you're trying to enact diversity and inclusion in favor of one race, you are trampling against the rights of another race. Okay. So I think that this is how it's relevant to critical race theory, because Asian Americans have simply become a minority that is ignored within this framework because they are successful at their educational standards.
Well, let me push back on that, because I think you're conflating two things that don't necessarily go together. You're talking on one side about the theoretical framework, which is critical race theory. Critical race theory includes any group that's not part of the mainstream social order of dominance or authority in that system. The application or the implementation of the remedy or supposed remedy by a particular agency does not speak to critical race theory. I think you're making critical race theory a villain here, when the truth is, in its purest form, critical race theory as a theoretical framework poses a question, and it encourages you to analyze or critically think. And it says, based on the systems that were created, even if you were to eliminate racism or individual racist people, you would still have unequal outcomes in the United States of America because of how the systems were created, and they were created rooted in bias. I think that's something that you and I can agree with. Does critical race theory
consider Asian Americans a marginalized group?
Say that again?
Does critical race theory consider Asian Americans a marginalized group?
It does, yes.
Okay, so if you want to help a marginalized group like Asian Americans, right? You would want to at least not unfairly impinge upon their rights to admissions to colleges, right? But the issue is when you create a program that gives racial preferences to certain races like Blacks and Hispanics, you are impinging the rights of Asian Americans, another marginalized group.
So let me ask you this: you're okay with the dynamic? You're saying it's not as inclusive as it should be to our Asian brothers and sisters. Is that your point?
Well, that's one angle in which I can come from. Yeah.
Okay, but is that your angle? Is that the point you're making about some of these institutions and their application of diversity inclusion?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's a fair point. I don't think many of these institutions or even agencies, especially corporate America, are doing it properly. So you don't get into debate here for me about that. I don't think anybody has done it holistically properly. But I do believe that the analysis of critical race theory is still an important analysis to understand the what, to understand why did we get here in the first place? Why is there a challenge in the inequity and the origin of that inequity? I think that's important to examine if you actually want to get to a remedy. You can't throw out that examination, correct?
And that's fine. That's fine using a critical race theory analysis. But the Asian American challenge to the critical race theory analysis is, okay, well, if America is a country that is founded upon white supremacy, why would a group of white supremacists let a group of minorities, which are Asian Americans, get ahead of them in things like educational attainment and things like average household income? Asian Americans are higher than whites in both. And I don't think that a white supremacist structure or a structure based in white supremacy would allow a minority to get ahead of them.
So let me get this right.
The answer to me is that America, the answer to me is that America cannot be a country that is continually having white supremacist structures if it allows these kinds of inconvenient facts to come.
That's really interesting. You're utilizing the microcosm to explain a macrocosm. In doing so, you invalidate the not only statistical data, but the personal stories of Black Americans all throughout this country. So let me give you another perspective here, okay? Stanford University did a study. Berkeley University did a study. University of Chicago did a study. University of California did a study. They did a research study that had the exact same result. It showed that individuals who had either foreign sounding names or what they called Black sounding names and what employers called ghetto sounding names, they received fewer callbacks. As a matter of fact, they received 50% fewer callbacks from the would-be employer. These were Fortune 500 companies where these applications went. All of these applications were fictitious. When they changed the name, it's called whitening the resume. When they changed the name and kept every other educational and experiential credential in its place, these companies called back with a rate of 50% higher or more.
That's fine. And by the way, I've seen the same studies about Asian Americans too. You have
I just said foreign sounding names. Asian Americans were included in this study, sir.
Well, okay. So the point is, of course there is discrimination and racism. Of course, I care about that a lot. But you have, races, Black Americans who have historically been discriminated against, Asian Americans who have historically been discriminated against, and yet Asian Americans are able to, in large part, on average, live pretty healthy, successful lives in terms of these kinds of things. And that cannot be explained by a critical race theory framework, because that goes deep down into culture and hard work. And those are things that you have to consider as well.
I do find it quite interesting, and I do appreciate your commentary about it. I do find it quite interesting that because there are some dynamics, obviously, as to Asian American success, in which I agree and applaud that because of those dynamics of success, in some way, according to your narrative, it invalidates the white supremacy that exists against Black and brown people in the United States. You do realize that Asian hate crimes are up by 169%. Now, do you not think that has an attribution to white supremacy in the United States of America?
Okay, anti-Asian crimes are up 190%, but here's the thing. 28% of those crimes against Asian Americans were perpetrated by Black Americans. 25% of them were perpetrated by white Americans. So there's actually more anti-Asian crimes from Black Americans than from white Americans. So how is that?
You know what, let me tell you this, brother. I've been an advocate for the Asian community for years. You can go on my Facebook feed right now. Anybody can check it out right now. Rashad Richey Facebook page. When I stand with the Asian community, I have black folk and white folk calling me out for doing so. Anti-Asian hate, you gotta remember, it is institutional and systemic. There are a whole lot of black folks that think like white supremacists. Candace Owens, Jesse Lee Peterson, Larry Elder. I can go down the list, brother. So you're saying white supremacy hold on, brother. I'm going to explain myself. I will explain my point of view. Kenny, you finish? Go ahead. What were you saying? Because obviously what you're saying is more important.
You said that white supremacy exists in people like Candace Owens. So white supremacy isn't really about the skin color of the person then?
White supremacy, sir, and I say this often on my show, Candace Owens is the #1 white black supremacist in America. White supremacy is an ideology, it's an ideological framework as well, rooted obviously in skin color, that's your genesis. It's rooted in an idea, a philosophy, a narrative that suggests somehow that white skin makes you privileged. But that white skin that supposedly makes you privileged also creates a psychological dynamic inside of those individuals that has been mimicked by others that do not have that white skin. We have had this dynamic for years. That dynamic is included in damn near every culture in the United States of America and beyond. There are people that adopt the narrative.
People who disagree with you think like white supremacists.
There are people who adopt the narrative of their oppressors all the time.
Right. So people who disagree with you are white supremacists.
No, you disagree with me. You're not a white supremacist, I don't believe.
Well, I don't think I am.
Okay, but you just said that people disagree with me.
White supremacist.
Wait a minute, Kenny. You just said if people disagree with me, they are white supremacists. No, you disagree with me. I don't think you're a white supremacist. I don't think you are promoting white supremacy. I just think you're misguided and misinformed about the plight of black folks in the United States of America. And also, if you look at statistical data even from Asian Americans, 81% of Asian Americans believe that there is a rise of white supremacy hate against Asians. You're in the minority as it relates to your own community, brother. That's you. I'm not calling you a white supremacist for that, but you're not in the majority as it relates to the thinking of the Asian culture.
Well, I care about the facts, and I prefer to take a look at the facts and objective realities as they are. And the objective realities is that the Asian American proves an American success story. This is a story that should be celebrated because a minority is able to achieve and minorities are able to achieve in this country. By the way, plenty of black Americans also achieve in this country. In fact, the black graduation rate for black women is higher than for white people. People don't know that. The graduation rate failures are largely attributed to, unfortunately, black men who were born into single parent families. And so these are issues and inconvenient facts that we need to talk about as well. If we're going to talk about critical race,
we're going to talk about another data set that you ignored. Let's talk about something you ignored. Black women are now the fastest growing demographic in the United States of America, not only for graduation, but also for business ownership, entrepreneurship, fastest growing, okay? Out of every race in the United States. Black women are also the least paid, based on their counterpart with the same education and same experience of a white male. They are not only the least paid, they are also the least likely to receive promotion with the same education or even more education. They are paid 68 cents on the dollar of their white male counterpart. These are actual statistics as well that you conveniently ignore when you promote a stat that fits your narrative. The truth is the graduation rates, they are increasing, but the job market is still saying that we engage in discriminatory activity against these particular individuals. How do you reconcile the numbers of increased graduation, which means increased education, to the fact that black women can't even get as much money for the same experience and education as their white counterpart? They can't get a call back because their names sound black on the resume, and they're discriminated against historically as it relates to promotions in the workplace, more so than any other demographic in the United States.
Well, I don't ignore those statistics. In fact, I know that Asian men, especially men who come here with language barriers, actually face a 25% wage penalty in comparison to native-born men here. So I am not unaware of these statistics. But my solution, which I lay out in my book, An Inconvenient Minority, is not for people to passive aggressively self-victimize themselves, but for them to go and be entrepreneurs to start their own businesses. Part of the reason why Black women are so good at starting their own businesses is because of sort of this ignorance in the workforce, and I totally understand that. And I encourage a lot of my Asian American community, especially Asian men, to also go out and start their own businesses. I think that these are values that help are conducive. But what we shouldn't do is we shouldn't blame one race or one people.
That's not critical race. That's not what critical race theory does. Critical race theory actually doesn't blame
for our own communities.
Kenny, critical race theory actually doesn't blame a race at all. It de-emphasizes individual racist people. It takes that totally away.
Individual racist people, but it talks about race all the time.
Kenny, I hope you appreciate the fact that I am a university professor, that I have been teaching critical race theory since 2016, and that I'm currently a professor that teaches critical race theory. Critical race theory does not emphasize individual racist people. It de-emphasizes people, period. It de-emphasizes individual racist people, and it emphasizes systems, structures, statutes, institutions, laws, corporations that are engaging in systemic bias, and much of it is considered implicit because it has been historically ingrained into those institutional norms. I need you to read up on CRT.
I don't want to believe in any ideology that de-emphasizes the individual, because in the end, everybody has their own choices and everybody has to make their own choices and take responsibility for their own choices. So I prefer to believe in something that actually emphasizes the individual.
Well, let me ask you about the choices of these companies that have engaged. Let me ask you about the choices of these companies that engage in systemic racism. Let me give you one data set.
Choices of who in these companies?
11.5% of job applicants of Asian descent received callbacks when their resumes included references of ethnicity and race. About 10% as it relates to Black folks. So Black folks, when they put down their race or ethnicity, they do not get as many callbacks. The potential employers increase that by over 50% when you whiten the resume. Asian Americans received 21% increase immediately if they simply changed their name or they took off a particular part of their name. It went up by 21%. If they fully whitened their resume with the same credential and educational background, it went up by over 50%. Where does that come from?
Yeah, and Asian Americans, by virtue of having an Asian name, get discriminated against in Harvard. You can have the exact same application, and if you have an Asian name, you're discriminated against relative to if you had a white name. Of course.
So you agree that it comes from systemic racism?
Well, what's the solution to this?
But you do agree it comes from systemic racism.
Okay, we need to pander and victimize and say this is what we need to do.
Not victimize.
No, the solution is we need to develop cultures of entrepreneurship and demand our place at the table through our mandate.
Demand your place at the table. What about policy reformation?
What do you mean about policy reformation?
When you say you just have to demand your place at the table, people who have been marginalized historically have been demanding for a very long time. You don't get there just by demanding, you get there by changing policy.
This is what I believe in terms of policy. I believe in a colorblind meritocracy. I believe policy-wise, you should craft structures in which name, race are excluded. This means stop taking race into account.
You agree with critical race theory, then?
This means treating people on their objective merit, on their objective. This is what I've always believed, and this is what I advocate for.
When you're in a system, and thank you for saying that, Kenny. And my producer say I have 1 minute. When you're in a system that does not agree with the ideology that you just said, because in a perfect world that is full of utopia, what you're saying is correct. However, we live in a world with extreme bias, racism, prejudice, behavior. In that world, you have to do very intentional things to correct those modes. You have to do things to correct them. Simply saying you should be judged or you should be looked at based on your background and education and nothing else does not actually provide a solution to those who are already in power, to the rules that have been set, to the policies that are already codified and adversarial to those who have been historically marginalized. Simply saying do a better job does not work, brother.
I'll just have the last word on this, which is, I don't mean to say just be judged. I mean to say craft structures in which race is not a factor, in which you can minimize the impact of race by judging people on objective metrics. This is what I've always advocated for. This is why gifted and talented admissions should be about grades and test scores and should not be based on subjective, holistic evaluations. This is what I believe for hiring. This is what I believe for promotion. That's what I believe. I don't believe in the status quo, and hopefully we can find common ground in that.
We actually agree on more than what you think, because you're literally talking about significant dynamics that connect back to critical race theory, but you haven't made the connection yet. I'm out of time, but what I want to do is bring you back and let's dig into this subject in particular more. All right, I appreciate you being on the show.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.